If you're watching this video for the first time, I messed up the whole thing, and thanks to Kevin, we just fixed this. So I'm sorry with technology. Kevin, all right, you'll have to jump in. The bottom line, what we said is there's certain words that we have stopped using, and that means certain groups take over and identify them. We need to reclaim those words from a different point of view. Getting to salvation, which I forgot what it meant, and I should know better. Are you ready for this? Salvation means health. Salve. Salve means to make you healthy. Salvation is not about you need to be saved, and you will be roasting in hell if you've not come forward and confessed. That's not what salvation meant at all. It meant, how do you become whole? How do you become healthy? So saving souls has nothing to do with altar calls. It has to do with how do we make each other healthy and whole. Does that make sense to everybody? That sounds like something that should apply to everybody. But by never mentioning salvation, because we don't want to use that word, it gets co-opted by other people, and it comes up with a Southernese kind of thing that takes us into a whole other world. Who doesn't want to be whole? Who doesn't want to be healthy? And so salvation is really about how do we reclaim becoming whole and healthy. And the saving of souls is how do we go about trying to what? Get our souls healthy. Now, I'm not going to get into a long dissertation about the soul. I wrote something up which I was going to bring to you, how I define the soul. And it was so bad it was funny. Let us just simply say the soul is us, who we are as human beings. Lock, stock, and barrel. Who we are physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That is our soul. It's us. How do we go about making ourselves healthy? Forrest Church had the famous thing. He said, it's a state of wholeness or health. It occurs when we are at peace with ourselves, united with one another, and honoring and being part of and harmony with nature. And I added, and tingling with surprises of the divine around us and in us. Now, I would suggest that most of us are in denial. If you ask most people, they'll say they're fine. When you're in rehab, fine has a different definition. The F word I'll say is you think you're fabulous. You're basically insecure, neurotic, and extreme. And so you're not fine. But people say, I'm fine. Most of us, I would suggest, are probably in denial. Every so often, I have a prayer for us. I said the poor and the unfortunate, the sick and the suffering, the tempted and bereaved, the forgotten and lonely. That's all of us. Rick, if you'd hand me that yellow pad there, these are some things that I wrote down that afflict all of us at any given time, sometimes several of us. Guilt. Everybody, at some point or another, feels guilty about something. Or, here's the other Brady, feeling guilty about not feeling guilty. That was really annoying. Everybody here's had loss. Am I right? Everybody here has experienced loss. It can be loss of a loved one through death or a relationship that broke up. My neighbor next door, my teenage neighbor I was talking to him last night, and I said, how's your girlfriend? He said, it's over. And I said, really? And he said, yes, I'm feeling very sad. I said, did you have any babies? No. I said, did you have any diseases? No. I said, there, you're good. You're good to go. His mother said, that was brilliant. How did you come up with that? I said, I don't know. And I said, that's the story of my life. He said, that was pretty good. I like that. It made me feel much better. Everybody's had loss. Am I right? And by the way, I count pets too. Pets go into this too. So we've been through this 1,000 times in this group. Sometimes you can trust pets more than you, never mind. All right. You haven't lived till you failed. Has everybody had failure? Has everybody had failure? You haven't lived till you've experienced failure, because that's the way you grow up. When I was given the last lecture, the last lecture at FIU, when the students voted me to get, the first part of it was failure. The very first part of that lecture was failure. And how failure it is what makes us grow up. It teaches us things. In this country, there's an allergy against failure, but how else do you learn? Everybody here has had financial issues from time to another, unless somebody here has a trust fund that I'm not aware of and I need to be talking to you. Everybody's had their physical health let them down. Am I right? And there's nothing worse than when you're ready to come down with the flu, or you discovered genetically you have something that you weren't aware of. Everybody's had health issues. Mental health. Did you know just about everybody in the world experiences depression a couple of times in their lifetime? Welcome to the real world. Everybody's had despair once in a while. Everybody's had disappointment issues, and something that especially I find that if you really don't know 19 and 20-year-olds, you meet them, you think that they think everything is fine. Self-esteem issues run rampant. And this is a riot about what human beings do. You have curly hair, you iron it to make it straight. You have straight hair, and you pay to get it curly perm. Am I right? Everybody's either too fat, too thin, right? Too tall, too short. I mean, nobody's ever happy. Everybody has self-esteem issues. This is humanity. This is like, what happens to all of us. Substance abuse issues. Some of us over the years have had substance abuse issues and had to deal with that. Some of us had family members that had to deal with that. This is all part of, and some of us have had a sense of brokenness from time to time. We felt we've tried our best and it just hasn't worked. This is us, folks. This is us. And then salvation then is not about altar calls. It's about how we make ourselves whole. How do we get together a sense of who we are? And I have a couple of ideas. Saving souls for us then is about physical, emotional, and spiritual being. Number one, it's not perfection. We have in this country a thing about things have to be perfect. Get over it. Life is not perfect. That is overrated, by the way. Think what happens when you do something that's perfect. Are you ever going to be able to do it perfect again? No, so you're going to obsess about it. Perfection is overrated. People go nuts about this. Getting whole is not about perfection. We clear about that. Number two, you relapse. You may get whole, but guess what? You're going to get a whole again. That's life. Sometimes we get our stuff. Have you ever noticed that? You get your stuff all together. You know that? Your things are going well. And then next thing you know, something hits you from the left side, and you're like back on square one. You think you're doing fine, and boom, something happens that you couldn't identify at all, and then you're back like, oh man, you get depressed. This is life. Seeking wholeness means that this is a work in progress. It's not about perfection. It's not about achieving something that's going to last for all time and all place. It means we acknowledge we've got things to work on, and we begin the process day in and day out. That is part of health. Knowing what you've got to deal with and saying, yes, that's me, warts and all. Speaking of warts, it's amazing how you have to deal with stuff. Rick is taking me tomorrow to get a thing removed from my face. I may come back with a Heidelberg dueling scar. I don't know if you know what those are, but I have a thing that has to come off, and they're going to have to take a thing down here. And a Heidelberg dueling scar is maybe cool if you were an aristocrat in the 1920s and 30s in Germany. It's not cool if you are my age and somebody who does weddings and sees people all the time with this thing across. The reality is, everything happens to everybody all the time. If there's a scar there, it goes, it stays there. You learn to adapt to it, you adjust to it. And with me, I make fun about it. I'll give it a name, and we'll talk. It's not perfect. Things happen. Am I right? So health, then, for us, is a work in progress that we acknowledge and say it's okay. It's two parts. Number one, our journey for health involves us individually, and involves reaching out to others. It's called connectivity. You and I, some of you, were brought up under that famous thing of wailing Simon and Garfunkel. Let me read you a lyric from this. Some of you may remember this. I've built walls, a fortress deep and mighty, that none may penetrate. I have no need of friendship. Friendship causes pain. It's laughter, it's loving I disdain. I'm a rock, I'm an island. This great American myth of the Wild West, I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody. I can take care of it, is hogwash. First of all, I just did some reading about the Great American West. Turns out the way people survived is by connection. It's amazing the number of groups that survived in the Wild West because they realized if you do it on your own, you're going to die. You're going to be out there on your own. Nobody knows it. You're going to be dead from disease or hunger or no wood because nobody knows you. Being on your own means you're going to die. It's through connectivity. It's through meeting people at church. It's through this. It's through that. You form organizations. You get to know people. Today, they've done some new studies. I have the Sermon on Loneliness. You think you can do it by yourself? Good luck. Most people cannot do it by themselves. Remember, we're 98% chimpanzees. I keep on putting it. Chimpanzees are pack animals. You survive by the group. So health then means identifying that, yes, we're on the way. To be healthy means we accept and acknowledge what we've got to work on, and it's fine. And number two, it means we reach out to others. Because when I look at you, and 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 I see my unhealth and disease, I see your unhealth and disease, and I say, good, we're in this together, now let's get undiseased. Let's get rid of the unhealth and go forward. And then when you relapse, I help you. When I relapse, I help me, and that's what we do. And we make it a journey together. Something we do together. Does that make sense to everybody? So salvation then, and saving souls, is about how we help each other become healthy. And if there's a divine reality, I would hope that divine reality is saying, yes, let me be in you as you help each other. Saving souls. Amen.